Now one day Jesus were learning to disciples his doctrines, when one of these here lawyer chaps comes along, a scribe, one of them, they're experts on the Jewish law, and he starts asking Jesus all good questions. He were a sort of heckler like. Thou knows the type of feller he should be. Now then, master, he says, thee tells me the way to get to heaven. Well, that noan an easy question to answer, and some folk would be flummoxed by it. But Jesus just turns round to him, and he says, Nay, lad, there's a lawyer, thou's supposed to know't. Old Testament off by heart. What does thou think this in? A bit taken aback like, the lawyer says, Well, the man loved Almighty with all his heart and soul, and loved thy neighbour same as thysen. That's a champion answer, says Jesus. If thou can live like that, lad, thou'll get to heaven. But the lawyer felt a bit of a chump. Jesus had made him look like that daft, asking a question when he knew that he answered all the while. So the lawyer says a bit sheepish like, Oh, aye, but I don't fairly understand that bit about loving my neighbour same as myself. Nay, listen, lad, said Jesus, let me put it this way. There was once a chap walking down the road through Jerusalem to Jericho, a very lonely stretch that knows, miles from anywhere, with nought no but barren rocks, just a place for a gang of thugs to lig a ambush. All of a sudden, they sprang out from behind the rocks, grabbed this poor chap, braid him, posed him, felled him underground, and ran off with all his brass, and they took his clothes into bargain. And the blight left him there, ligging in the gutter, half dead, with not a stitch on. I got big bruises and wounds and blood all over the shop. But then it so happened that a priest were coming down the same road, one of the chaps through the temple in Jerusalem, thou knows. Well, this here priest comes along and then walks straight past on to the side of the road. He saw him all right, oh aye, but he never let on. Didn't want to get mixed up in out, thou sees, and happen he were full of flayed and robbers and all. Well, off he goes, and a few minutes later, who should come along but another religious fella. This time it were a Levite, a sort of assistant priest, like another holy Joe at work at the temple. And believe it or not, he does nought neither. He just walks past on to the side of the road. He thinks, by gum, this is a job, but it's nought to do with me. Then along comes a Samaritan. Samaritans, thou knows, were sort of half-castes, or half-comed on, really, half Jew and half Assyrian. The Jews wouldn't have aught to do with him. Oh, and this here Samaritan fella would have been well within his rights if he'd said, Hello, this chap's a Jew, and none but to the outfit likes of him. I should not lift a finger, and not lift a finger to help me. But no, when he sees him, he feels right sorry for him. He gets off his toss, bends over him, cleans his wounds with wine, and soothes him with olive oil. Then he rives off one of his own shirt's laps, and bandages the poor chap. Up. Don't fret. Don't thee fretly listen, lad. Next to no time, thou'll be as right as rain. So he sums him up, sets him on his horse, and in a bit comes to inn, to bottom of the pass, and they spend the night there. Next day he says to the landlord, Now then, I want thee to look after this here chap and get him right again. See there? He's 2 silver pieces, and I spends out us on him, and I'll pay thee what I owe thee when I come back. Now think on, look after him. Now then, says Jesus, turning to this lawyer fella, which of these were to neighbour to the chap and fell among the robbers? And they'll never believe it. This stuck-up lawyer can't bring himself to admit it were a Samaritan. He just says, I reckon it were a chap that were kind to him. It wouldn't lower himself to mention him by name, just I see. But the lawyer didn't have the last word, no by gum. Jesus looked him straight in teen, and he says, off the goes, lad, and think on, and we'll learn to love this un. It's a funny thing, but when I read the story of the Good Samaritan, I think on yon little saying, and I reckon it's the Yorkshireman's motto, Hear-o, see-o, saying out, Ate-o, sup-o, paying out, and if ever thou does out for nowt, do it for thyself. Nay, they all right for a bit of fun, but it's a load of rubbish really. I reckon nowt to it. It's far better to try to love thee neighbour, same as this'n.